Congress poised for another farm bill punt after Senate non-starter. House Republicans rejected a farm bill proposal by Senate Agricultural Committee Chair Debbie Stabenow from Michigan this week, increasing the likelihood that lawmakers will pass another one-year extension of the massive legislation by the end of the year rather than a new longer-term measure. A source in Speaker Mike Johnson's office confirmed this week that the GOP-controlled House plans to seek an extension of the 2018 Farm Bill, the last major version of the legislation signed into law, rather than pursuing a new bill after months of gridlock. The legislation, which has long underpinned the country's agricultural sector and food aid programs, is typically passed in 5-year increments, but lawmakers similarly punted on passing a new bill at the end of last year. Major bones of contention in inter-party talks surrounding the legislation include reference pricing, the subsidies paid to farmers when the prices of commodities fall below a certain threshold. GOP lawmakers are specifically seeking higher reference prices for cotton, peanuts, and rice, with the increase paid for by cuts to the Commodity Credit Corporation, which the Biden administration has used for climate-related discretionary funds. Democrats have exposed this move, as well as a GOP push to freeze the expansion of the foods covered by the Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance Program, SNAP. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries signaled Democrats would not budge on SNAP at a press conference Tuesday morning, saying, "We certainly will continue to protect nutritional assistance for Americans all across the country. That's in urban America, rural America, exurban America, the heartland of America, and small town America." Thank you, Jeffries, for letting us know about all the subcategories of America. That will be a priority for us, as it always been the case moving forward. A second source familiar with the GOP conference meeting confirmed to The Hill that Republican House members rejected the Stabenow text, which the source called not a serious proposal, after Senate Democrats walked away from negotiations, expressing frustration on the GOP side that Stabenow did not release a text until 20 days remained in the session. The source also pointed to the fact that Senate Democrats caucus was not uniting on it, citing pushback from Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia on reference prices for the southeastern U.S. on Stabenow's text. The source confirmed that the House Agricultural Chair Glenn Thompson from Pennsylvania dismissed the Senate bill as a form of legacy protection for Stabenow, who is retiring from the Senate in January. Thompson's remark was first reported in Politico. The GOP-controlled House passed its Farm Bill text out of committee earlier this year, while Stabenow introduced text for the Senate version this week. Having won a trifecta in the November election, Republicans have considerably less incentive to pass a full new bill by year's end rather than passing another extension and introducing a broadly Republican-supported bill in the next Congress. It was widely reported in the weeks leading up to the House markup that Stabenow was calling Democratic members on the phone, urging them to vote against our bill, which still secured 4 Democratic votes, the source added. The GOP bill, the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2024, passed the Agricultural Committee 33-21 in May with the support of Democratic Representatives Yadira, Don Davis, Eric Sorsen. You don't fucking care how many of them were. The Hill has reached out to Stabenow's office for comment. Democrats could likely only exert meaningful leverage by threatening to outright block any stopgap measure and allow the current extension to expire. Jeffrey signaled in his press conference, however, that some form of reauthorization would be a priority for the Democratic caucus during the lame duck session. It's our hope that we can find the common good necessary in order for to reauthorize a farm bill in a manner that meets the needs of everyday Americans, of farmers, particularly family-owned farmers, and that meets the needs of the health and food safety of the American people, he said. So, before I ask my other pundits on Monday's show what they think about this, let me just riff, ramble, and rant and tell you what I think. The Farm Bill is supposed to be passed every 5 years. If the last one was in 2018, we all can do this math on our hands, and we know that there should have been another one by 2023. We are rounding into 2025, and there are real issues that could be addressed in the Farm Bill, namely the disconnect and the lack of parity between intoxicating cannabinoids that come from hemp and intoxicating cannabinoids that currently come from cannabis. It is my feeling that cannabis is overregulated, hemp is underregulated, and that the lack of age-restricted access to intoxicating cannabinoids from hemp is causing many states to clamp down on hemp products in a way that I don't think actually supports the growth of the industry and the protection of consumers. That this didn't get done in 2023 and is being punted again gives me ample ammunition to talk shit about both sides of the political aisle. Yes, it's not fair for Republicans to punt it out until they have control of everything. And Yet we still didn't find a bipartisan compromise in the last 2 years to be able to get something meaningful accomplished and to be able to move the football down the field, to be able to have a better paradigm that serves custies and entrepreneurs. And so I say shame on the Senate and the House on both sides of the aisle, because what I think they're doing is being more partisan and obstructionistic than productive. And I think both of them share responsibility in that. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News.
Oh, man, I told you guys, nothing was going to pass. Nothing. Everyone's all freaked out about this new version of the Farm Bill that they're talking about in the Senate. And this is great news.
Didn't do anything again.
Yeah, they did do something. They're just going to punt an extension. This is fantastic news. That's all that we need, just another extension. This is great. We don't need them to
say this is exactly what we want. We want them to punt this right now because we want the new HHS and DEA and FDA and all the rest that this new administration is going to do. It's going to be much in favor of cannabis.
Yep.
If we did this Farm Bill right now, I think that we'd get some bad effects and we wouldn't have the opportunity to have the upset that that's going to be in our favor.
Yeah, because that Mary Miller amendment is currently in the version that they just recently proposed in the Senate that, thank goodness, is not going to get passed.
Yeah, there was some bad things in it. Yeah. So it's good.
Very, very
good
bad
that they're
things.
punting it right now.
Very bad things.
Speaking of upset, Yarrow's face tells me he has something to say in rebuttal to that.
Look, I mean, if I was going to take a real straight down the fairway view on this, I think the Democrats are on the right side of history in wanting to protect SNAP, which is around food stamps and food assistance. And we need to think about the Americans who aren't making ends meet and deserve to not live with nutritional deficiencies or going to bed hungry. And I am in favor of the Republican support of farmer subsidies because I think that farmers are a noble part of the backbone of our society.
That's true.
And when you're a farmer, Mother Nature's on your board of directors, whether you like it or not. And that's going to make for some bad years. And I don't know that that's fair for all of that risk to be borne on the backs of farmers. I also didn't necessarily agree with the Democratic side where Jeffrey said, well, for family farms, because it is true that there's been consolidation and corporatization of farms. But guess what? I still need a fucking kiwi at the store. So I don't necessarily think the corporate structure of farmers as important as supporting American farming in general. So I don't think that kicking the can down the road until we have a consolidation of power in all three branches of the by the Republican Party speaks to the fact that for the last 2 years it still hadn't gotten done, and that there's culpability on both sides because the definition of compromise is no one's happy. And I would have been happier with no one being happy and having something that came out in 2023 than the fact that this feels like it's become a partisan football.
Well, the fact that you're unhappy
calm down, because
go ahead,
Jason
Jenny.
needs to sell some gummies first, okay? So let Jason get some gummies off first, and then let's revise the Farm Bill.
We're here to sell some gummies and D9 gummy, America's new number one D9 gummy line. Yarrow,
in a perfect
stop being
world,
such a hater.
intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids are regulated in a way that is not as stringent and as expensive as cannabis, but at least provides a paradigm that protects minors from age-restricted products.
We have an age gap on our website.
And provides some measure of supply chain safety. I don't think that puts D9 out of the ballpark. I just think that in the absence of that, it creates ambiguity in an industry that could use guidance and have some guardrails, and it allows the federal government to continue to foist the obligation to state governments to try to figure out this conundrum. And what we've seen Newsom do with his ban on hemp-derived products in California,
which is totally unenforceable.
It is a massive setback, and it's creating a new trap. It's creating new prohibition. And so I think the federal government has an obligation to do better and to do quicker.
Yarrow, I have a question for you. When you go bowling, do you use the buddy bumpers? Because you're a very strong advocate for these guardrails and things.
He also uses a little ramp that you
I mean, you know, we're not obligated to not swear on this show. So I mean, there are a variety of ways I could tell you to go get fucked. But the truth is, bowling is a lot of fun. I don't use the guardrails.
You don't?
No, I
interesting,
don't.
Interesting.
But,
You're for guardrails in some situations, but not all situations. Interesting.
Not for bowling. One of the things that I'm not really great at is getting it where it spins down the and then it spins and it hits that first pin.
It's all about that flick of the wrist.
Down the thing. Yeah, the spin thing I can't do. And given your political affiliations, I know you're probably better at the spin.
I'm a master of the spin. Master of the spin.
When I'm bowling, I just go straight down it. I try to hit that pin. I usually get about 9 out of whatever.
So you're like a wrecking ball. You're like a wrecking ball.
Yeah,
Yaro's afraid of the strike.
He is.
You better thank a union member. I'm sorry.
Oh boy. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we're going to be right back.